It's time now to answer some of your business questions. Adam and Jean are back with us. The first one is about having a business partner.
So I've been in business for a little over 4 years now, and I'm considering taking on a partner. I'd like to know if you have any suggestions for me as to what to look for in a potential partner, and also as to where I might begin looking for one.
That is a great question. I think it's not only what to look for,
Right.
but
Yeah.
how do you know that you have identified the right things, right?
Well, I mean, it's kind of hard to answer a question that broad. It's like, I'm thinking of starting a company. What kind of company should I start? I mean, your partner is as varied as the industry you're in or your own skill set. Why are you bringing this person in?
Yeah, I've never seen like a Match.com for partners, finding that business partner. It's tough to find, and we're all looking for that perfect partner. The one advice I can give though, if you're looking for somebody, I don't have a partner in my business. My wife would not want me to have a partner, and for all sorts of various reasons, you have to clear that. If you're going to have a partnership, you're sharing not only your business but financials. I mean, it's pretty deep stuff. You better make sure that your significant other is going to approve that, or any other people that are personally involved.
And what I've seen is that people who have found partners, right? Maybe you find somebody who is a competitor and they want to merge with you, or somebody who's used to be in this industry and wants to join you, or maybe a vendor or someone you work with. But once you determine they have the right skill set, or you think they do,
right,
and you've had a million lunches and dinners and you think you get along, it happens too often that 6 months down the road, you're kicking yourself.
Right.
So how do you get through that part? How do you not make that mistake?
I mean, I think it's impossible to actually know up front how that's actually going to live. You do your research, you figure out what this person's bringing to the table, maybe where you're light, or they've got some kind of competitive ability that you need to augment what you're doing with, but ultimately, until you're in it, you're never really going to know.
I mean, in the end, how much of us really know as a judge of people, right? I mean, how many times do you meet people who are like, oh, this guy's going to really work out, and then like 6 months later, it's always going to be a leap of faith, and you always have to prepare for that.
And I mean, look, once you get into the position where you're having to consensus build with this person constantly, or at least delineate the different fields of responsibility and who's making the call on this and that, like there's no way to figure that out over lunch.
Right. And I went through this and brought in a partner, and what I found is you have to understand that your values are the same, right? So we have aligned values, and so while we might disagree on particular points in business, as everyone does. All right, moving on to the next one. A question about getting money fast.
When I go to a big trade show and I need between $10,000 or $30,000, and I need an infusion of quick cash, but I may need it for 6 weeks, I may need it for 90 days. What's your suggestion? Would it be line of credit, mortgage? What do you suggest?
Any ideas?
First of all, it's very scary to go to a trade show and spend like 10 to 30 grand. It's like a marketing exercise. So I'm really hoping that the lady who asked that question has got a specific return on investment for the money being spent. That scares me. So assuming that she does, personal funds is obviously the best place to go to, whatever resource that you have for capital. If you really want to get financing, there are some very good micro financers that are out there. Cabbage, for example, is very good canned capital, where you can, they'll do short-term loans. You'll pay a little fee for that.
Expensive, right?
Expensive. You will do that, but again,
you get the money.
You get the money. You think you got the return on investment, then that's what you do.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a perfect situation for a revolving line of credit. If she doesn't have the personal finances, and then you pay on what you've taken out.
Right, if the bank will give you one.
That's definitely true.
Right, and if you're coming at the last minute, I fear that the bank may not be so quick to give you this line of credit.
Which is where there's microfinancers, they're a little bit more easier to get the cash from. But again, like you mentioned, you're going to pay for that.
But I think that brings up a good point, Adam, which is that if you think you're going to have to use this in the future, it may be worth going to get a line of credit now.
Absolutely. Well, if you've thought this thing through where you actually know what your ROI is on doing these trade shows, and this is actually a business strategy, then financing it correctly is part of that strategy.
Right.
Yeah. But please, for God's sake, don't go into like $10,000 to $30,000 of debt just for like a marketing activity. You really want to make sure
you're going to get something out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Finally, a question about hyper-local marketing.
I would like to know tips on how to market and advertise a small business in a small town.
This is a great question as we head into the holidays, right? Because everybody wants you to come shop on Main Street now. So any ideas?
Well, I mean, look, we started things as a hyper-local media property, and that's still a huge part of what we do, and the way that we turn that into a strength is really making our familiarity with the market and with the audience that is in that market part of the product, and doing it in a way that someone coming from out of state or coming from the big city wouldn't be able to know, and really it's about that kind of familiarity and that intimate connection to the people you're serving there.
What the hell does hyper-local even mean? Why do we even have hyper in front of local? I'm still trying to figure out that whole term. I always thought it was for local marketing. Again, if you're running a shop and a retail place, I mean, you're here on the holiday season. Hopefully, you're not just thinking about this now.
Right.
It's an ongoing thing you've been working on for a while. I know the shops and the retailers and even the small businesses in my area, the ones that do the best is they nurture a relationship with their community. So they offer free services. They partner with other shops and retailers in the area. They offer educational services. They give stuff away for free. They have all sorts of events and things that bring people in, that give yourself attention. They get involved in Rotaries, charities, so people are thinking about them when the holiday season comes around. That's how I think.
And I love the idea you just brought it up of co-marketing with other businesses in the area, so reach each other's customers.
Right.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. It was so good to see both of you.
Thanks for having us.